Greetings everyone, I'm Dr. Anth. Today I will discuss some language history, which countries have the most languages and why, and what is happening to language diversity. In the prior video on language origins, I stated my hypothesis that our ancestors have been speaking complex languages for at least 2 million years. We don't know how many languages were spoken that long ago, but we do know that isolation leads to languages diverging. Since our ancestors lived in small isolated groups, there were probably tens of thousands of languages spoken in the past. The number of different languages spoken in the 21st century is around 6,500. Each year we lose languages as their elderly speakers die. The only way to keep languages alive is if children speak them, continue to speak them as adults, and teach the language to their own children. When children do not speak the language of their parents or grandparents, the language will gradually die. Isolation occurs with both geography and time. The countries with the most languages are those where there are mountains and/or dense forests, which allow for groups of people to isolate themselves from other groups. Those regions also are where they have lived for tens of thousands of years. For instance, the location with the most languages is West Papua, Papua New Guinea, which has over 1,000 distinct languages divided into about 3 dozen language families. A language family is like the Germanic language family, which includes German, Dutch, Swedish, etc. New Guinea is a large island of dense rainforest and snow-capped mountains, despite being on the equator. People have been living in New Guinea for at least 60,000 years and probably longer. The geography creates extreme isolation of groups, and the time depth allows for languages to diverge. These explain why New Guinea has over 1,000 different languages. The isolation is so extreme that it wasn't until the mid-20th century that the rest of the world realized the dense mountain forests were filled with dozens of different groups of people. This distorted world map shows the regions which have the most languages. The large landmass above Australia is New Guinea and Indonesia. West Papua is under control of Indonesia. As you can also see in the distorted map, the region with the second highest number of languages, with over 500, is the country of Nigeria. Parts of Nigeria are or were densely forested and are mountainous. The entire continent of Africa has, of course, the greatest number of languages, since Africa is where language began and where our ancestors have lived for the longest time period. North America, Canada, US, Mexico, Honduras, Guatemala, Belize, El Salvador, Costa Rica, and Panama, has the next largest number of languages. Contrary to what many archaeologists believe, the huge number of languages spoken in North America indicates that the region has been settled by human groups for tens of thousands of years, at a minimum probably 50,000 years. Note that in the U.S., the greatest number of languages is along the West Coast with its mountain ranges, forests, and diverse ecological zones. This also indicates that groups of people have been continuously living on the West Coast for tens of thousands of years, while also being relatively isolated. India also has tremendous language diversity, with several hundred languages divided into about 2 dozen families. Prior to the end of the last ice age, around 12,000 years ago, Australia and New Guinea were connected. Although people lived in Australia for tens of thousands of years, the geography in much of the continent tends to be both more open and harsher. This means that fewer people could live in many areas and that there was less geographic isolation. Therefore, despite the great time depth, there would be fewer languages, although still a large number, spoken in Australia than in New Guinea. There is more to cover on this topic, but I will do that in the next video. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe.